It is Politics and Parenting, where we talk about politics, but we talk about it differently. Jeff, how are you doing today? It is Politics and Parenting, where we talk about politics from the parent's point of view. So today, I want to talk to you about this song by Tom MacDonald. I don't know. Do you know Tom MacDonald? I know Tom MacDonald. My daughter and my son, I think, listen to Tom MacDonald against my better suggestions. And a friend of mine that you may know, who Craig from Written Works, and he does the What the Book podcast with me. He said, "Hey, Jeff, I know you don't listen to Tom MacDonald, but this song, You Versus Me or Me Versus You, I think it's right up your alley. I think you should listen to it. And I think you should shoot a pod on it." And I was like, "Okay, I really don't want to listen to it, but if you say so, I'll listen to it." So I listened to it and I was like, "Hey, Craig was right. I should listen to this song and I should shoot a pod about it." So here it is. So it comes out of the gate and it's like a Trump supporter yelling at a Biden supporter. And it's like, "I'm the only one you hate for making America great. And I'm the one who's trying to build back better. We ain't the same. Yeah, you're right. There's a difference. Y'all are woke and we're awake. What a joke. Does white privilege have something to say?" And, as I'm listening to this, all I can think is, do these people exist? Like, I get that these are the people that we see interviewed on the TV, but man, I don't meet them in my day-to-day life, to be honest with you. Even at the party level with like the most adherent Trump supporters, like at the end of the day, they don't really, believe in this guy. They just really don't believe in the other guy more. And I get that I guess maybe what this is saying is when those people are out in public, instead of admitting, "Hey, I don't like this guy," I'm just going to dig into the person. I'm going to dig into the party. And because I don't like you more. I think that's kind of a problem, right? is the fact that it exists. And it's, I think the song does a really good job of capturing the moment, if you will. And so, right out of the gate, it points to Trump and Biden. And what does that mean? How does it capture the moment? Is it directs it at the executive branch of government, because that's who has the power. And it also, in the song, makes it a red versus blue thing, me versus you, right? That's red versus blue. And so it goes right at, and it captures the moment, understanding that that's where power is held right now in the American Republic system, right? And so, and the song goes on, and it's like, how do the executive people and the parties gain and maintain power? And in the song, it again captures the moment by pointing it at, they divide us. They divide us with race. They divide us with abortion. They divide us on the economy. They divide us on immigration. It's all about us versus them. It's all about emotion. Everything is about emotion, okay? And, MacDonald captures this great in the slogan, or the chorus. That's the chorus of the slogan. The chorus in the song, "I hate you. I hate you," right? It like tugs on your soul, and you go, yeah, that's kind of what I see. Like, that's what I see from the people up top. I don't see that at the ground level, though, right? When I walk into the parties, they don't hate their neighbor. They hate the people at the top, right? And they just apply it to their neighbor because they don't really know their neighbor, because we're all kind of isolated in these little circles and we're so consumed with everything that we're doing in our world, it's really difficult to understand somebody else's world. And he talks about this, the crime rates through the roof, ain't no jobs to be found, inflation going up, my kids need food in their mouths. You put the fake news on every TV screen in my house. Hold up, y'all president, a racist, homophobic, tried to overthrow democracy, and everybody knows it. He will never make America great again, like the slogan. He's a white supremacist, just like all you who voted. And it's like, again, where's power held? Its power is held in the executive branch. It's held in the party. Okay, and it and the reason that it's held there is because it's consolidated. It's been slowly over time pushed there because that's where people who wanted to use it used it. And in this circumstance, now you're able to take the other party and the other person, demonize them, and then throw everybody else in the country that may even come close to wearing red, be in that group. And that's a dangerous thing to do. Like you're oversimplifying a very complex problem. And if you're an individual, like, just think about that in your day-to-day life. Would you do that in your workplace? Would you do that in your family structure, right? You would want to get to know the people. You would want to understand what they really thought and not just assume that everybody thought the same thing because they ended up on this side of the line instead of that side of the line. And Tom has this line in here. It says, "The right is fighting the system. The left is designed to divide us." And so this is something that I notice, again, working at the ground level, being involved locally, and then also kind of piercing through and, I don't know, kind of talking with some of the intellectuals. I mean, I've interviewed them on the show before, and, go into DC events, right? Real life and DC, they are two different things, by the way. They are not the same thing, regardless of anybody that lives inside the DC circle thinks. It's not real life. And, the right is fighting the system. The left is designed to divide us. And what I would say is, do you know what the system is? Right. And I find this a lot on the right. They legitimately think that the other side is trying to divide us and conquer us. And maybe they are right in a way, but they complain constantly about the things that they do wrong. And then if you go to a local party meeting, and I've said this before, the thing that you'll hear most commonly is the left is doing it, so we have to do it too. It doesn't matter that 6 months ago we were complaining and saying that they were corrupt and that they shouldn't be allowed to do it, and we were fighting it. We lost that fight, so now we're going to do it because we keep losing fights and we keep on just doing what the other side does. And so the right is fighting the system. No, they're not. They're not fighting the system. They're not fighting the system at all. They're pretending to fight the system. They fight the system for a few minutes, they fail, and they move on. And that's not fighting. That's rolling over. Like, at the end of the day, the right is rolling over and over and over again. And the bigger thing is if you're going to fight the system, what is the system? How does it work? Do you understand it? Right? And it's complex, but the system is a spoil system. And you've heard me talk about that on the show. I just interviewed Michael, and it's a system of party politics that seeks to control. It seeks to control and win. Okay. We've seen it most prevalently in the antebellum period. We saw it in the Gilded Age. And if you are the right, those are the things you should be talking about. You should be calling out the system. But what happens is they lose the battle, their constituents gets frustrated, and they just move on to the next thing. And they try to use that thing. They try to do the same thing that the other side is using. Doesn't matter if we said it was corrupt 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Doesn't matter. And this happens on both sides. That's the problem, right? Because the right might do something that's a little sketchy, and the left sees it and they throw a fit, and then they don't do anything to change it. They just start doing it. And then the right does the same thing. And it's back and forth and it's back and forth. And it's just constantly chipping away at the Constitution, chipping away at the rules to maintain power. And what are they doing when they get power? Nothing, right? Because, as I've said before, a spoil system implemented in a government for more than, let's say, 2 generations becomes spoiled. It's entitled, incompetent, and they don't know how to govern on the right or the left. And that's a big problem. Why are people so angry? Why is Tom MacDonald writing a song that says, "I hate you. Who do they really hate? Do they really hate the other side? Or do they hate the few people that are running us aground, right? Like we don't have the best leaders, right? When a leader is pointing the finger at the other side, they're trying to divide you. When they're holding themselves accountable and explaining complex stuff, being patient with people, not using emotion to drive us, then they're leading. When you're doing all the other stuff, you're not leading. You're trying to capitalize on power. You're trying to gain power. It is about power, right? And the whole idea of like, well, once I get the power, then we could make the change. Once we put Trump in office, then he'll do what I want, right? Or he'll do what the people want. But the reality is, the people have control, and they are giving their power to Trump and Biden. They're giving the power to the parties. They're okay with it because there aren't anybody at the top explaining, hey, look, I understand you're frustrated. This is the deal. We live in a republic. It divides, separates, and balances power, okay? We have a two-party system. That party system naturally is going to have a spoils effect over time. There is positive and negatives to this, okay? The reality is we can't ever get rid of a spoil system. It's just human nature. It's what Madison was talking about, right? It's faction, all right? The best we can do is shape a system that tries to contain it, right? Contain the spoils and balance the factions. And right now, we have fundamental flaws in our Republican system that causes the spoil system to be worse and allows power to be concentrated in too small a number of people's hands. So I get it. You're angry. You hate the other side. But this is the great thing about a republic. The power is in your hands. The power is always in your hands, whether you are using it or not, whether you are taking the time to focus on the right people and the right endeavors and the right direction, or whether you're getting captured by all the emotion and all the anger and all the sadness and all the everything else. But all it takes is turning your head. Stop looking at the car crash. Focus on the highway. You'll get there. And so MacDonald kind of touches on this. He says, no president will ever give a damn about the truth. Well, I disagree. Yes, it may look bleak now. We may not have had great presidents in our lifetime, but we have had great presidents in the past, which means we could have great presidents in the future because we had bad presidents in the past. And then we had good presidents, and then we had bad presidents, and then we had good presidents. And it's just kind of like a little cycle, and it'll be okay, right? And the reason that it'll be okay is because, like I said before, we have the power. Like, we can change it whenever we want to change it. It just takes focusing on the right stuff. And so what is the right stuff? So MacDonald says, it doesn't matter who's the winner because the people always lose. No president will break the system from inside. It's a deep state plan dividing us into sides. And so I think this is where we as individuals, citizens, get misdirected because we hear things like this and it makes a lot of sense. And we go, okay, there's the problem. It's the deep state. It's always the deep state. It's the people we don't know. But who's the deep state, right? Is the deep state the bureaucracy? Is the deep state the dark money behind the elections? Is the deep state the congressional aides that write most of the legislation? Who's the deep state? Who are you angry at? Who is the real driving problem here? And the reality is, it's us. Like, the people make these decisions because the people allow themselves to be encapsulated by entertainment. They're not focusing on their congressional representatives. If people stopped focusing on the president, stopped focusing on the party, and actually focused on holding their congressional representative accountable, okay, that would make a huge difference in a very short amount of time. You can make a difference from now to this election if a large number of people tomorrow decided to get involved and go hold their congressional representatives accountable. And this doesn't mean voting them out of office. This means having conversations with them, letting them know that you're going to be there day in and day out watching them, making sure that they're making decisions based on the interest of you, the people in your district. Because at the end of the day, the people that they talk to, the congressional representatives, are fundraisers. They're the people that pay for their elections. And that's who they represent. And it's because that's who they hear from. And you can blame the congressional representative, or you can show up at their door. You can show up at the election, at the campaign events and ask questions, because most of these events are empty. I've said it before on the show. Primary elections are where you get choice. We had a primary election on the 18th, just a couple days ago, and in a district of 756 plus thousand people, about 20-something thousand people decided the Republican candidate, and I think almost 100,000 people on the Democrat side. I'd have to go through, and the number was much bigger than the Republican side. But either way, total, all in all, you've got like less than a fourth of the people, deciding who everybody else is going to vote for in November, right? And those people are going to run on party platforms. I've got that little advertisement here from the last pod of, what are they going to run on? They've already told you what they're going to run on. They're going to run at the other side is bad. That's what they're going to run on. Plain and simple. They're not serious, right? And he's got another line in here. It says, they promise us freedom. What is freedom? Like, seriously, like, what is freedom to you? And I think the problem is most American citizens think that freedom is to do whatever they want anytime they want. And they think, well, no, I don't think that. And then they go, well, but the things that I want to be done should be free. And those other things that I disagree with, they should not be free. And I go, well, yeah, that's where the challenge comes. That's why we created a republic, because a republic gives us the opportunity to vote into representatives, hold them accountable, and go debate what should be free and what shouldn't be free, what type of rules we should have. So what is freedom in a republic, a self-governing republic? Freedom is having a say in the rules. And the way that you have a say in the rules is by picking who's writing the rules. And when you're abdicating your responsibility to the party, and the party has gone astray and they're spoiled, then you're getting people that aren't qualified for office. So it doesn't matter what happens in November. You're not going to get somebody that you're happy with. Not at this point. And the best you can do is show up every day and be like, hey, I'm watching you. I'm watching you. I know that you're not really qualified for office because you're running during a spoils system era. And I know that in order for you to get into office, you have to cut deals that I don't want you to cut before we've ever even talked. And you know what? I forgive you for that, because that's my fault. I wasn't paying attention. But I'm here now. I'm ready to fulfill my responsibility as a self-governing citizen of the republic. And, let's do this together. Like, let's have a serious conversation about how do we fix this problem, right? I'm tired of getting choices of Trump and Biden. Oh my gosh. And all the great people that have run for president or not even become president, right? That could have become president. We're stuck with two of the worst in back-to-back elections. That's not good for us. It's so bad that we have our pop culture just railing about it. And, that's what happens with pop culture, is it rails against the man. But in this case, it's spot on, right? It's spot on, because a spoils system seeks to divide. The song is called Me Versus You. It encapsulates the moment. It identifies where the power is. It focuses on the fact that the system is corrupt. And then it asks the question, like, what do we really want? What's our freedom? What is our freedom? How do we fix this problem? And our freedom is found in the House of Representatives. It is our responsibility as citizens of this nation to focus on that. And like I said, it's not too late, right? At the end of the day, like, we can be emotional, we can be angry, we can let them divide us, or we can go, you know what? I know you're just living in a moment the same way I'm just living in a moment. I forgive you for that. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to be uncomfortable, and I'm going to try to hold you accountable to the best of my ability. Now, I want you to forgive me when I get really upset at you when you say stupid things, or I feel like you're lying to me, or you ignore me, because at the end of the day, I'm a citizen and this is your job. And if you want to be my representative, you should want to talk to me. And if you forgive me, I'll forgive you. And together, we can fix this problem. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden in November, okay? What matters is the House of Representatives. That's the people's power. So let's do this, Tom MacDonald. Can you write you know what? Tom MacDonald should write a song called The Spoil System. That's it. I'm sure he could do it. Maybe I'll check out his other stuff since Craig got me into it and my daughter's listening to it. Yeah, well, that's what I got. Craig, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah. Oh, you know what? Tank Talk, Monday, James Monroe. Okay, remember, Heritage Brewing, 7 p.m., the last Monday of every month, give a Tank Talk, okay? So come out, support. I really think I got this thing down now. I got little stories that I'm going to tell, and that's going to, there's 4 or 5 of them. I'll kind of go in depth to the story. I'll leave a little opportunity for questions, and then I'll move on to the next story. And at the end, you'll get a pretty good grasp of who James Monroe was, what he did for our country, and why he's so important. Yeah, so come out, Heritage Brewing, Monday night, 7 p.m. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love.